What's up, guys? I'm Flying Scorpion, and today I'm going to show you this Oberon build. I love this build. I've been using it to get through the steel path. It's extremely tanky, it's extremely strong. It basically makes the steel path a breeze. It's very easy to play through difficult content with this. It makes difficult content look easy. So I'd like to show you the build. Hopefully it'll be helpful to you, and let's just kind of get straight into it. This is an endgame build. There's a lot of endgame mods on it. If you don't have access to all of these mods, don't worry. It's very flexible. You don't have to have the build exactly the same way that I've put it together. So the first thing to point out is it does have all three Umbral mods on it. You don't need to have two Umbral Forma to fit these on. The only reason I put a second Umbral Forma on it was because I was planning on maxing out all three of the mods, but I noticed that I was breaking some of my other builds by doing that, so I just put maximum, or just maxed out my Umbral Intensify for more ability strength. Really, that's a big part of this build, is getting as much ability strength as we can. 220% ability strength is a fair amount, but we have a couple ways of getting it even higher. One of the main ones is energy conversion. When we pick up an energy orb, the next ability that we cast has plus 50% ability strength, so that gets us up to 271%. I'm running Growing Power. This is totally optional. You don't have to run Growing Power, but this gives me another 25%. So that would get us up to 75% ability strength, getting us up to, what is that? 296% ability strength. And I'm running a kick gun. Now, I would prefer to use this kick gun. I'll show you the Pax bolt. When you get a headshot kill, you get an extra 30% ability efficiency and 30% ability strength. So that's what, 30% plus 50% is 80%, plus 25% is 105%, getting us up to 326% ability strength. So you're starting to see all these layers stack up on top of each other, and it gives you a ton of ability strength on one ability, on the next ability that you cast. So what you do is you pick up an orb, you find an enemy, you headshot them with your kit gun, you apply a status effect with the kit gun, and then you cast Renewal. And Renewal is a channeled ability. When you cast it with all of these multipliers, you have over 100 health per second, like 120, 130, maybe even more. If you're opening relics and you get the relic buff, where you have even more ability strength on top of that, you can get a tremendous amount of healing and armor as well. When you cast Renewal and then you walk over top of your hollow ground, it gives you tons of armor, like 600, 700 armor, maybe even more. Every 300 hit points of armor is like, the first 300 hit points of armor doubles your hit points. Then the next 300 on top of that triples your hit points, quadruples your hit points when you're at 900 points of armor, and so on and so forth. So we're stacking even more armor with Arcane Guardian. When you're damaged, you have a 15% chance to get plus 900 armor. When you stack all of this together with the Umbral Fiber, you have just a metric shit ton of armor, and that seriously improves your health and your healing abilities. It's really good. You combine that with adaptation with a 90% damage resistance, which is basically like a 10 times multiplier on your healing and your health and armor. And yeah, you're starting to see there's more and more layers that really stack up to make this a very, very tanky endgame build. What's wonderful about this build is that even your allies benefit from the armor. So even if your allies get your healing, if they walk on your hollowed ground, or if you cast it underneath of their feet, they also get the extra 600 or 700 armor onto them as well, which is very helpful for Warframes that don't have very high innate armor on them. So if you've got a Warframe that's got a lot of health, like Zephyr, for example, Zephyr has lots of health but doesn't have very much armor, you can help improve Zephyr's survivability a lot with this build. Okay, so let's talk about the Pax Bolt, for example. I want to be using my primary kick gun with Pax Bolt, but unfortunately there's a bug in the game where primary kick guns are not proccing the Pax Bolt. The developers are aware of this. They posted in the forum saying they're working on it. It should be fixed in the next hotfix. So in the meantime, we're not going to be using this kick gun. But I will say, if you're going to build a kick gun for this, I would recommend going for low status chance, high rate of fire, and high crit chance and crit damage. This means that you can do lots of damage against enemies that are immune to status effects like Kuvas or Kuva Liches, or for example, maybe an Eidolon or something like that. But you still, because you have such a high rate of fire, even if you have a low status chance, you're still going to apply status effects. Like at 21.7 bullets per second and 11% status chance, on average, you're going to apply around 2 status effects per second. And you don't really, status effects cap out at 10 most of the time, except for heat, because heat is overpowered and the developers refuse to acknowledge that. But anyway, viral caps out at 10 stacks. So after about like maybe 7 seconds of shooting at the enemy, viral would be capped out. So there you go. Anyway, we're not going to be using this one. I'm going to be using my Quelor instead in the gameplay footage. I just like this weapon. It looks cool. It feels fun to use. Instead, I'm going to be using this kick gun. It's a little bit subpar. This was built back when you could do 100% armor strip with corrosive damage, but you can't do that anymore. So, yeah. But we're going to use that. Now, let's go. Before I get to the melee weapon, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the mods on it. So we've talked about adaptation. This is efficiency. At health, converting damage on health into energy is very helpful for this build. So you can use Rage or Hunter Adrenaline. Enemies at lower levels have difficulty chewing through your shields. So this build is overkill for that anyway. At higher levels on the steel path, enemies have no problem getting through your shields and they start dealing damage to your health, and it's very good. You have a lot of control over how much damage you take with this build and by playing properly. So whenever you need to get energy back, thankfully the enemies on the steel path are tanky enough where your teammates are not wiping them out in the blink of an eye, and you actually have a chance to do your thing and find enemies and let them shoot at you and get your energy back. Transient Fortitude is totally optional. If you want to, you can run Blind Rage here instead, and it really doesn't hurt your efficiency that bad. Remember, when you shoot an enemy with your kick gun, you get another 30% ability efficiency. So you have 105% efficiency. So it's really not that bad. You can run Blind Rage, but the problem with that is when you cast Reckoning on enemies, it costs too much energy, and I don't really like using it with Reckoning. You could maybe find a way to work it together with Reckoning, but I like using Transient Fortitude instead, so that my Reckoning only costs 70 energy to cast, and I can cast it 2 times in a row quickly on enemies without completely draining my energy, and do 100% armor strip, even on bosses. It's very helpful against bosses, and I'll demonstrate that in the gameplay footage in a moment here. Is there anything else to talk about on here? I think I talked about Prime Sure-Footed. It's just a nice quality of life thing. Now let's go to the melee weapon. So I'm using the Akenbrunt, which is not a popular weapon. You don't see people using this. I think it looks really cool. Now, to be honest, I would prefer to use something else. I would actually, because I'm kind of tired of using the Akenbrunt, I want to use something else like the Sigma Noctanus or the Sylvan Aegis Prime. But the developers have made this mod, electromagnetic shielding, exclusive to the Akenbrunt. So that's why I've been using the Akenbrunt consistently for like months and months and months, or maybe like over a year or something like that. If you're a developer for Digital Extremes or Warframe and you're watching this, can you please make electromagnetic shielding usable on the other shield weapons? Because it would just be nice to get some variety in that. But anyway, what does electromagnetic shielding do? When you're blocking, it redirects 50% of the damage taken by your allies within 12 meters to yourself. This is super duper helpful for keeping your teammates alive. I combine that together with Guardian Derision, and blocking taunts enemies within 15 meters to target me instead of my allies. Another nice little icing on the cake is that it keeps your combo count up. So when enemies are shooting at your shields, you're actually building combo count, which works well with this mod, Blood Rush. You get more critical chance with your combo multiplier. It has a 20% crit chance innately, so that's actually not bad. You can actually get into red crit territory when you combine it with your Ardaza Kavat. So I have my crit buff cat here. The Ardaza Kavat Cat's Eye gives you a flat 60% crit chance on top of your base crit chance. So you can get into red crit territory with this build. I have a Riven that gives me more crit damage. That synergizes well with it, and more melee damage to help remove prime pressure point. I also have Condition Overload for more melee damage as I apply status effects onto enemies, and this is more powerful than Prime Pressure Point when you're hitting an enemy multiple times, which tends to happen in the Steel Path. The Final Harbinger stance forces status effects to apply onto the enemies. I don't know if it shows them here. Yeah, this is something that's kind of like hidden. You actually have to go to the wiki or test it out yourself. I really wish the developers made it so you could see, but these combos force status effects to happen on the enemies, which helps beef up the damage from Condition Overload. Berserker to get more attack speed, which again helps you apply more status effects quickly for Condition Overload. Prime Reach for more range, which is just a quality of life thing. Prime Fever Strike just to get as much damage as we possibly can. And honestly, the only thing that I would really change about this mod right here is instead of heat damage, I'd rather have cold damage, so that instead of having gas, I would have viral procs instead of gas, because viral is overpowered, and for some reason the developers are leaving it as it is. But anyway, that's that. I think I've gone over pretty much everything with the builds. I will point out that the Crit Buff Cat's damage bonus or crit bonus applies to all of your teammates. So you've got many different ways you're supporting your teammates. You're improving everybody's crit chance. If you choose to run Growing Power, you're improving their power strength. You're tanking damage, you're controlling aggro, you're healing them, you're giving them armor, you're supporting them in many ways. The last thing in the build is the Arc Gun. Arc guns are nothing to sneeze at or sleep on. They're very powerful in the game right now, thanks to the addition of primed Rubedoline Barrel. I talked about this in a previous video. That makes these weapons very good. I switch back and forth between the Kuva Yanga and the Imperial Vandal. Sometimes I pull out the Larkspur. What I like about the Imperial Vandal is that it does fantastic DPS. The only downside is that there is no punch-through mod for arc guns, so you can't just like shoot down a hallway and tear down multiple enemies at a time. It's only one enemy at a time, which is really, if they add a new mod for arc guns, punch through, please. Punch through would be fantastic. The Kuva is incredibly strong. It does tons of damage. The only reason why I'm not using that is because it has an what's the word I'm looking for? An arming distance. So the projectile has to travel out a certain distance before it's armed, and then it explodes, or then it's able to explode. And it's a little bit tricky to use that on indoor maps. Maybe I'll actually use my arc gun to take down the boss in this gameplay clip. So let's go into a mission and actually show you the build. I've been recording for hours now, just trying to get like a good recording that I like. It's kind of funny because I say to myself, oh, I'm not going to do any video editing. I'm just going to do a one quick off-the-cuff recording, and then I'm going to be satisfied. And then I review it, and I go, oh, that's not good enough. And then I go do it again and again and again. Like, by the time I'm done recording, I'm like drained and my voice is hoarse, and I'm like, oh, I'll just forget about it. I'll do it another day. But I'm going to do it today. I'm going to make this video. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time about this build. Okay, let's go ahead and just get a headshot. One of the things that kind of stinks about this kick gun is that it is a bit hard to get a headshot off with it. So I already have 111% health per second, or 111 HP per second, and 553 armor. When we pick up an energy orb, we're going to get that up even higher. Let's just switch to the primary weapon, and we'll just kill some guys. Try to get an energy orb before we go into the boss fight. I talked about this in a previous video about using corrosive versus viral. The enemies in the Steel Path have a 250% multiplier onto their armor, and even then, against a Lancer, like these guys right here, viral procs are still more powerful. Let's get some radiation procs just to get the aggro under control a little bit. There we go. So we got that. Energy orb. Now you see on the top right of the screen, I have that buff. You can't really, it's kind of hard to point it out. It's like right here. No, it's not there. Anyway, Arcane Energize is active. My next ability cast has plus 50% strength. So I'm going to get a headshot off on one of these guys. Stay still, please. There we go. Got a headshot. Now I turn off and back on the aura, and I'm up to 131 health per second on my renewal and 653 armor. It's a noticeable impact. It does help a lot. Okay, so now that the buff's active, we're going to go ahead and get into a fight with a boss. As you can see, I'm really having no problem staying alive. These enemies are struggling to kill me. Now there's, I can't just stand there and completely face tank, which is nice. I do like that about the steel path. It puts me in a position where I do need to cast my abilities once in a while. I've done some gameplay footage in the past in a previous video where I was comparing the steel path to Destiny 2's Nightwave Ordeal. And somebody asked in the comments section what the build was, and I just briefly described the build. So that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. So here's the boss. So Oberon's armor stripping abilities are very helpful, especially on a boss like this, because you have this damage phase where you can't actually hurt him. Okay, I need him to hurt me. There we go. So now he's doing damage. Now we're going to do that again. And I don't know if we can see it yet, but he should have 100% armor strip applied to him now. Okay, I need him to... There. Oh, now... Okay. He does still have his armor. I gotta wait till the armor bar shows up. Let's get away from that explosion. Should be stripping his armor. I noticed this, actually. There's something weird going on with the ability not stripping armor sometimes. Oh, well, we'll try again. There he goes again. Let's try right now. There we go. That stripped his armor. I think he has to be touching the flowers. I think that's the issue. And sometimes the flowers glitch out and they don't show up, which is kind of weird, but there we go. He's shooting at his teammate. That's hilarious. Let's get out of the way. Okay, let him do that. I have Prime Shred on this, so it has good punch through. Okay. I think he's going to be vulnerable now. And there we go. And we're just going to go ahead and wait for him to put his shield away. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do that. Let's finish him with this weapon. Oh, shit. He died anyway. I think he died to the heat damage. Oh, there we go. Oh my goodness, that character's tanky. Alright, let's get out of here. I want to take out one more guy, because this weapon looked weak against that one guy I just shot at. Oh, what's going on here? But the door is locked? Yeah, I think I gotta activate the... activate this little guy over here. I'm just gonna do this. There we go. All right. All right. Put this weapon away, I think. There we go. Now we can get out of here a little bit quicker. I'm not sure if I mentioned this. I probably should mention it now. In terms of managing aggro, you can actually, let's do it on these guys here because there's more of them in this room. You can actually throw down the carpet and you'll see they'll start attacking each other, but when you switch to your shield, they're going to stop shooting at each other and they're all going to shoot at you. So it actually pulls aggro even from guys that are irradiated. And if you want to, you can use this to your advantage. You can irradiate guys that are close to you, and then enemies off in the distance will shoot at the irradiated guys, and then the enemies that are close to you will shoot at you. And if your teammates are like back here, like if you have a Harrow or something shooting off in the distance or something like that, you can just help keep the aggro off of him. All right, that's it. We'll finish the mission. So that's the Oberon build. I've been wanting to make this video for a long time. I hope you guys liked it. I hope that it provided some value to you, whether it's learning something new or maybe this is a build you can use to get through the Steel Path. I know it's super resource intensive with all of the forma and everything else that's on it, but you can customize and tweak the build to your liking. I don't know if I said in the beginning of the video, but I think I mentioned something that some people like to use the Phoenix Renewal. I'm just going to assume that I did say something about that in the beginning. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you see the next video, and if you like this video, leave a thumbs up and a comment down below. Let me know what your Umbro or your Oberon build is. I'd like to hear from you. Anyway, have a good one.